Hello, and welcome to my presentation for week 12. The topic I'm going to discuss with you today is the cost of poor sleep in our lives and the benefits of good sleep, as well as improving methods of improving our sleep. I'm going to focus on statistics related to adults and their sleep patterns. This is most relevant as adults in the United States are most likely to experience chronic fatigue and to suffer consequences of chronic fatigue. My hope is that you'll be able to leave today with the information necessary to assess your own sleep pattern, and that you'll leave with ideas for how to improve the quality of your life through improving your sleep. Starting off, why should you care if you don't sleep well? CDC has tracked a lot of sleep studies and data, and they've published that poor sleep is correlated with chronic diseases such as type 2 diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and depression that threaten our nation's health. The National Institute of Health has concluded that chronic poor sleep increases the likelihood of an early death. Kind of switching gears a little bit to a story. My friend Jake told me about when his sleep schedule was at its worst. His relationships with his family suffered, and he started experiencing extreme fatigue on the job site. The catalyst for him wanting to make some changes in his life and primarily his sleep pattern was he fell asleep during his lunch break in his car. He works in construction, and it was a day that the job site was being audited by upper management at the company, and he missed the inspection completely because he fell asleep. He was just so exhausted. This really made him want to start making some changes. It was a big black mark on his career, and so he wanted to make sure that never happened again. Switching gears once again, define our terms. What is poor sleep? Every individual is unique, and we all will require different periods of rest throughout our life. When we're young, we require more, and as we age, we require less. But in general, adults under 50 should, or under 60, pardon me, should really try to aim for about 7 hours of sleep consistently each night. If we are consistently getting less than 7 hours of sleep each night, we very much should reevaluate our sleep patterns and consider making some changes. Once we have evaluated our sleep schedule and decided that there's some changes we should make, what methods can we consider adopting to improve our sleep? And there's a few options that we can look at and consider making in our lives. The first is probably the most impactful change that we can make, and that would be to set a consistent sleep pattern. The app publisher, Rise Science, they market sleep tracking apps. They've said that based on the data they have collected, it takes about 2 to 4 days of going to bed at the same time each night and waking up at the same time each morning for your circadian rhythm, which is your body's internal clock, to reset or to adapt to the new schedule. Rise Science recommends a gradual adjustment when you're changing your sleep pattern. They don't recommend switching dramatically from staying up late to going to bed at an early hour. That's just going to be very difficult to do and will lead to more fatigue, and it might be an insurmountable amount of fatigue. What they recommend instead is to move your bedtime and your rise time back or forward, depending on your needs, 15 to 30 minutes each night till it reaches your desired time, and then to keep that schedule for at least 4 days. About 4 days is how long it'll take to adapt to the new schedule. According to the National Sleep Institute, a consistent sleep schedule is the best method of fighting chronic fatigue. You should also avoid napping whenever possible. Naps during the day are more likely to make it difficult to fall asleep at night, and so they'll exacerbate a poor sleep schedule. This is another tough transition to make, but in general, if you nap regularly, just try to fight through that fatigue until you can hit your second wind for the day, and you'll start noticing that you can fall asleep more easily at night and that your sleep quality will improve. Try to avoid screen time before bed. Doing this will improve your sleep. The science behind why that is really unsettled. There's different ideas or theories as to why screen time makes us sleep worse, but the connection between screen time and insomnia is well proven, according to the Mayo Clinic. And the National Sleep Foundation found that if you use screens in a well-lit room before bed, the effect is lessened. And the Mayo Clinic suggests that you should avoid screen time entirely for at least an hour before trying to fall asleep, if you do screen time in the evening at all. The final thing we can do to try to improve our sleep schedule would be to limit or eliminate our caffeine intake. Caffeine is a stimulant, that's why we all use it. But frequent usage or high intakes of caffeine can ruin our sleep schedule and exacerbate fatigue issues. Caffeine can take up to 12 hours to be entirely processed or removed from our body. So if you drink a coffee at noon, it's not out of your system entirely until midnight. If you must drink caffeine, try to drink it only in the early morning and try to cut back on your intake. This will help your body set a more natural sleep schedule and you'll be more able to fall asleep at night. And doing that will help you have more energy in the day when you start it. Wrap up our story from earlier. Jake cut back on his caffeine, started going to bed at a much earlier time.